You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with David Story and Jacob Morrison.
Well, and that's the reason that we wanted to be on the radio and be on WVNN instead of like having a podcast or something, is because being on the radio, like we can reach folks that we wouldn't normally be able to reach. And this is where, like, conservative talk radio is where workers in Alabama come to for their news. That's where a lot of people, a lot of workers, wage workers in Alabama, this is where they get their news, and so we want to be able to meet them where they're at, and give them a different perspective. I think we have a valuable perspective, and I think that and I appreciate folks like Scott listening to us, even if they I'm sure, like he said, he's a conservative libertarian type person, so I'm sure we disagree on a lot of things. But
we disagree on a lot of things, but just like was it Hoff? Tom Hoff, I believe. Hoff. My apologies, Tom, if you're out there listening. Tom come in and sat down with us, and there's several key agenda points that we could agree on. And when we can agree, we need to make sure that we recognize, quit dividing people. Mm-hmm. Quit this entire, we was talking about it before the show. Quit the whole trolling thing. The libtards and all that. It does nothing for either party other than give everybody a good laugh. It's not helping America.
Yeah. So like I said, give us a call if you want to chat. 1-866-494-9866. I guess we can kind of talk about the Supreme Court a little bit. That was what I was gonna be talking about on Thursday, and we ended up I ended up not being able to like present it the way that I didn't have enough time to really kind of delve into what I would like to see there.
I don't think you would have enough time if we had a 24-hour radio show.
I know.
What did you have to say? I'm interested to hear your point of view.
Well, like
because I'm probably going to disagree with it.
Oh, really?
I think so, but I'm going to hear it out.
I don't know. Well, so if I was a Republican, I would obviously want the Republicans to seat another justice, because like that's what politics is. Politics is about acquiring and exercising power, and even like obviously the Republicans were lying when they said that they have this principled position about not seating Supreme Court justices in election years. Lindsey Graham is just bald-faced turning against everything that he ever stood for in his support for Trump, and now in his support for Trump's nominee. Mitt Romney he's spineless. He voted to impeach the president, and he's like saying things about how it's bad that he's not saying that there is going to be a peaceful transfer of power, but he's still going to vote for his nominee. I mean, so these people are like they'll do whatever they'll do whatever it takes in the exercise of power. And I wish that Democrats were that ruthless. That's what I wish. Dale asked me if Democrats were in the same position, and 4 years later, Justice Roberts dies, should the Democrats do it? And I'm like, yes, of course. And then and before that, they should pack the courts. I mean, because the Republicans won the national popular vote once in the past 30 years, and they have appointed now all but 2 or 3 of these justices on the Supreme Court. Like, that's not legitimate. I mean, this is a minority party that is ruling over everybody, and they're dictating everything about our lives, and they are and they're going to be, and now they're going to have the Supreme Court. And so I think
they figured out how to game the system.
Right. I think Biden should pack the courts. Absolutely. Do I think that he will? No.
What do you think gerrymandering is?
Yeah.
I mean, they've been gerrymandering for you. Look, the Republicans are so much more intelligent, and we talked about it during the break, about not only their talking points, but they're so much more intelligent about figuring out how to leverage power where power can be leveraged, and the Democrats don't do. They think, and in reality, the Democrats do typically carry the popular vote. Mm-hmm. It's understandable. Well, that's why you've got so many Democrat governors. That's why you've got so many Democratic local officials. But when it comes to gaming the system, the Republicans are great at it.
Well, in 2018, Democrats in the Congress, Democrats won more of the vote than they ever had before in an off year, like a midterm election. And they did not win nearly as many congressional seats as they should have because of Operation Red Map that the Republicans did in 2010, where they took over a bunch of state legislatures and gerrymandered districts to hell. Like, it was crazy what they did. I mean, look at Alabama. Alabama has 7 congressional districts. We routinely have 35 to 40-something% of people voting for Democrats in the state, and only 17% of our congressional representatives are Democrats. Only 26%, 25% of our representatives in the state house are Democrats, and only 20% of our representatives in the state senate are Democrats. And it's because of gerrymandering, obviously. And that's not democratically legitimate. And so, like, Democrats, big D Democrats, have to do what they can to reinvigorate and deepen small d democracy. They should pack the courts. They should make D.C. and Puerto Rico states. They should pass a law ending gerrymandering nationwide. They should do what they can. They should institute nationwide universal suffrage. Everybody should be able to vote after you're 18 years old. They should have automatic voter registration. They should do these things to deepen democracy, make it easier to vote, because then people would be able to better express their will, but they won't, and I can never decide if I feel like it's because they are spineless or because they are more beholden to their donors than they are to their base. Well, but
here's the thing: you've driven up the conservative callers this morning.
Yeah?
And they're spineless. I said, "What's your name?" We'll bring you on. He did not want to give me a name. He just wanted to tell us that we didn't deserve to be on this conservative radio station. They're spineless, Jacob.
Well,
they're spineless.
Well, but like, I was saying that Democrats in power are spineless.
Oh, okay. Well, my apologies.
No.
I was on the phone with Mr. Ultra Conservative.
Yeah, no, I was saying that Democrats are spineless because they will not they will not take the steps necessary to acquire and exercise power. Because what I was saying I can't decide is whether or not I think that Democrats are spineless or if they're just more beholden to the donors in their party because obviously the donors in the Democratic Party, these millionaires and billionaires that donate to Democrats, they don't want the American people to be empowered. They don't want to see a populist left-wing agenda enacted. They don't want to see a more progressive taxation system. They don't want to see Medicare for all. They don't want to see a Green New Deal. And so I have trouble deciding if I feel like Democrats are just beholden to their donors, and so this is like the logical what they would do, or if they're just spineless. But it's one or the other,
or both.
Really or both.
This very well could be both.
Right. Coming up on a break, this is the Valley Labor Report. Give us a call, 1-866-494-9866.
Try to act it up. You got the principal Derek, act it up. You got the fire, try to act it up. You got the principal Derek, act it up. You got the fire.
Folks, welcome back to the Valley Labor Report. Yeah, I'm just going to riff a little bit more about Democrats being spineless because, man, they're really spineless and they're beholden to their donors. But if you want to give us a call, 1-866-494-9866 is the number.
It's very interesting that we've got these conservatives calling in complaining about Democrats. I wonder, do these people actually listen to the words that's coming out of our mouth, or are they just, if we say organized labor, then all of a sudden we're communist?
I don't know. Well, so, like I was talking about, like the donors of the Democratic Party, they do not have, they have a very different interest than the base of the Democratic Party. And one of the ways that you see that is in Nancy Pelosi's the CARES 2, the second relief package that she passed through the House of Representatives, and the way that she was expanding health care was through subsidizing COBRA, which is a private insurance plan. It's one of the least efficient insurance plans in the country. And she chose to, in this message bill, right? This was a message bill. She knew that this was not going to go anywhere. She knew that it was going to die in McConnell's Senate. And she chose to do that instead of expanding Medicare or expanding Medicaid, which are much more efficient, which are much better. But, like, why? Why would she do that instead of expanding Medicaid? Why would she do that instead of expanding Medicare? More efficient, more popular programs. Instead, she chose to subsidize these millionaires and billionaires that are run by...
you don't think that the healthcare industry and big pharma are donating to her campaign?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
It's like, clearly, quite simply, why.
Yeah, it's really disheartening that we do not have as powerful a... as ruthless and power-hungry Democratic Party as we do a Republican Party.
Well, they are. They are as ruthless and power-hungry. The difference is the donors that's donating to the Republicans are the same donors that's donating to the Democrats. I mean, you if you look it up, you'll see that pharma's donating to the Democrats. They hedge their bets.
Yes.
They constantly hedge their bets, and they own both parties. Mm-hmm. People have. If you'll wake up and start looking at everything, you'll recognize that lobbyists own both parties. Simple.
Right. And that's like and speaking of healthcare, if Trump gets his Supreme Court nominee, you can kiss protections for pre-existing conditions goodbye, because that Amy Coney Barrett has said specifically that she thinks that Obamacare is unconstitutional and that it should be struck down, like the whole thing, including protections for pre-existing conditions, which is a very popular thing, which Trump has said over and over that he would protect while his administration is suing to end protections for pre-existing conditions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. It's really crazy.
Well, the one thing that you're constantly going to get out of Trump is talking points that he has no intention of following through with. That's a guarantee.
Well, he was once for single-payer health care. When he ran for president in 2000 on the Reform Party, he was for universal health care. And even when he was running as a Republican, in an interview, he said something about, like, oh, our health care plan is going to cover everybody. We're going to make sure everybody has health care. What happened to that? Like, less people have health care now than when Obama left office, even before the pandemic. Before the pandemic, less people had health care than when Obama left office. I thought everybody was supposed to have health care under the Trump health care plan.
I thought Mexico was going to pay for the wall.
I thought Mexico was paying. I thought we were going to have a wall. I thought we were going to have a wall. I thought that we were going to...
We're still shipping more jobs to Mexico. Yeah, my brothers and sisters at Boeing lost jobs to a Mexican plant just this past month. They're shipping, I can't remember the exact numbers, a couple of thousand jobs where union members make the internal seats and things like that of the airplanes. Gone to Mexico. Just as soon as NAFTA 2.0, the great upgrade to NAFTA, was signed, they announced they're shipping the jobs to Mexico.
Goodyear just shipped jobs from a Union, Alabama plant to Mexico. In Gadsden, yeah. Like it was in 2019.
We're really protecting all of these workers in the United States right now.
There was a plant that Trump held a rally at, saying that he was going to protect their jobs. He was going to protect these workers. Carrier.
Again, my brothers and sisters.
Yeah. They lost their jobs to outsourcing under the Trump administration.
Well, the one good thing that come out of it, and I'm being sarcastic here, is they got a big tax break right before, they come in and force the governor to give them a tax break to keep those jobs there. They kept them there for about another year and then went ahead and outsourced them. So, yeah, I mean, hey, at least the company got propped up for another couple of years.
Yeah, at least those executives got to line their pockets with some hard-earned taxpayer money. That's the That is the Republican.
That is the American way.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I mean that's what that's
subsidies for the rich.
Yeah. I mean, just
drag yourself up by the bootstraps for the poor.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, it's really disheartening because I mean, I don't that was one of the things where I was like, okay, well, maybe this is something that Trump is going to have a little bit more initiative on.
I thought so too.
I genuinely,
thought so too.
When he was elected, I'm like, okay, this guy is a buffoon. He doesn't know anything, just like Tommy Tuberville now. But maybe he actually cares about Rust Belt workers and
I didn't think he actually cared about the workers. I honestly thought he would recognize as a businessman that keeping well-paid jobs in America would benefit business as well, and he would work overtime to ensure that those jobs stayed here. Mm-hmm. And he hasn't.
Yeah.
He hasn't. I can't remember. I seen my brother Hassan Solomon talking last week to Brother Dave on their district report, and I think he said we have lost over 60 plants has closed in the 4 years under the Trump administration. Just in the machinist union alone, over 60 plants we have lost. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm speechless.
Yeah.
It's going to get to the point to where if there's no one else to pay taxes, if there's no one else to buy your product, mm-hmm. because we're all starving to death, you're not going to have a business to run.
Right.
And at that point, I don't know what you do. I don't know. Maybe they move to another country and start a new America, and we're left here with the scraps. I don't know.
Maybe they move to Mars with
Elon?
With Elon Musk.
Yeah, another great non-union company.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, it's getting to that point. Mm-hmm. And I seen somebody post on Twitter this past week about, about why would you for leftists? Why would the leftists not support Biden? And is it because they believe that the only way we're ever going to rebuild anything is the further destruction of the government in general? Mm-hmm. And I think that's where we're at. I think that's where Republicans are at for certain.
Yeah.
And Democrats are trying to buy a few more years out of it, but it's not going to happen. It's just it's continually happened for the last 40 years. It's going to continue to happen so long as we keep putting these people in office.
Well, I mean, the trend has, even with Democrats in office, the trend of stagnating wages, worsening health care, of lessening worker power in this country has continued unabated, basically, since the 70s.
Absolutely.
And
we say it all the time. Bill Clinton didn't do anything to help us.
No, and that's one time I was talking to somebody and I was like, and they were like, "Oh, I bet you think Bill Clinton was a conservative." And I'm like, "Well, yeah,
he was.
He was literally
he was ultra conservative. He's a neoliberal.
I don't know what you want me to say. Yeah, Bill Clinton was conservative.
Classic conservative.
I
mean, and we talk about it all the time. I have been probably the most outspoken leftist against Doug Jones of anybody, and I speak out against him continually because he is a Republican.
Yeah.
He is a Republican, whether y'all realize it or not.
Right. He's just like an Eisenhower Republican.
Yes.
He doesn't he thinks that.
Now look, I voted for him. I cast my vote. I cast my ballot a couple of weeks ago, absentee, and I voted for him. I'll be completely honest with you, but I didn't vote for him because he's a Democrat. I voted for him because I thought he was better than his opposition.
Yeah, which is
it's harm reduction at this point.
Right, and that's how almost every single vote that I've ever cast has been. It's been for harm reduction, lesser of two evils, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know.
Yeah. So battle us. Call in. Yeah. I mean, goodness gracious, man.
1-866-494-9494.
We are the most anti-democratic Democrat radio show on the air,
1-866-494-9866 is the number.
We got about 15 minutes left.
Yeah, we got about 15 minutes left if you want to talk to us about anything. But, the reason that I, our big thing is not to get you to vote for Democrats. Our big thing is to get you to organize. And like we were saying last week, having a union really insulates you, not 100% obviously, but having a union, having a contract with your employer, it really insulates you from a lot of the like consequences of political elections. I mean, now, you know, with the reproductive rights being on the line at the Supreme Court, this is obviously something that a union can't do at an individual work site. But, you know, like, it does help insulate you in other ways. Like, if healthcare is taken away, if you protection for pre-existing conditions is overturned, that's not going to change for union workers with a union negotiated healthcare plan. You know, I mean, that is the thing that we want. And it doesn't matter if you're a conservative or a libertarian or a liberal or a left-winger. Like, that is what, like, a union is one of the best and most efficient ways to make your life better and the life of your brothers and sisters on the job better. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate your time. If you want to see what we're up to throughout the week and get our snide quips about the news of the day, then you should follow us on social media. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/Valley Labor Report. We're on Twitter at Labor Reporters. I'm on Twitter at JacobM_AL. David is on Twitter at Radical Unionist. That's spelled RADICL Unionist. If you missed part of the show and want to go back and watch it later, search YouTube for The Valley Labor Report and subscribe to our channel. You can go back and watch the full show there, and we also clip segments throughout the week. And we also upload the program on more than 11 different podcasting apps. So you can see if we're on your listening platform of choice. You can go to thevalleylaborreport.transistor.fm/subscribe. And if you appreciate our work and want to help us stay on the air, then consider throwing us a couple dollars a month on patreon.com/The Valley Labor Report.